Range Validator and Regular Expression Validator. In this lesson, we're going to discuss Range Validator and Regular Expression Validator. Now let's start with Range Validator. With the help of Range Validator control, we can check whether the users have entered a value within a specific range as specified. We can specify the range values using minimum value and maximum value properties. Regular Expression Validator. Regular Expression Validator is used to validate complex expressions. The expressions which are validated by this control are phone number, email address, zip code, and internet URL. Now let's discuss these two controls with examples. Open a new web form and place label and text box controls. Align the controls for better presentation. Click Label control and go to Properties window and change the text property. Go to Toolbox and click Range Validator control. Drag it and place it on the form. Go to Properties window and then change the error message. You have to set the maximum and minimum properties to validate the control. Now the important thing you have to do is to set the control to validate property. In this example, we are validating integer values, so we have to change the type property to integer. Just run the program by pressing the F5 key and you'll see the answer. Okay, then move to Design window. Place one text box control and then go to Toolbox. Click Regular Expression Validator control. Go to Properties window and then change the error message. And set the control to Validate Property. Click Validation Expression Property. It will display a regular expression editor. In this example, we are validating email expression. So, select Internet email address. And then press OK. Press F5 to run the program. Now, enter any character in text box and press the Enter key. It will show the error message, Invalid email address. Now then enter any valid email address and then press the Enter key. It won't display the error message. Validation Summary and Custom Validator. Validation Summary gives us a neat and clean way to display error messages on the web page. It will collect all the error messages of all the non-valid controls and put them in a tidy little list. Now, this list can be either shown on the web page or with a message box. It's easy for us to show the summary of errors in a web form. Now we'll talk about this with a simple example. First off, let's open a new web application. Here, we're having three text boxes for name, number, and the mark respectively, and the three required field validator controls for each text box. Now we've already discussed how to set properties in required field validator. Go to Toolbox and then click on Validation Summary. Drag it and place it on the form. Press F4 to get the Properties window. Here we'll find the two main properties named Show Message Box and Show Summary. They'll be used to display the validation summary. If you change the Show Message Box to false, then it will not display the validation summary in Message Box. Right then, let's run the application and see the logic. Now just enter the name and the mark. Press the Submit button. It will display the error message. You must enter the number. Try your own, then check the answer. Okay, let's talk about Custom Validator. Sometimes one of the existing validation controls, such as required field validator or regular expression validator, will not do the job that's needed. In this case, we need to use a custom validator to achieve the desired result. So, the custom validator allows us to write a method to handle the validation of the value entered in the text box. Now let's talk about this with a very simple example. Open ASP.NET web page. Here in this example, we are having a label control, text box control, custom validator control, and a button control. Go to Properties window of Custom Validator. Then change the error message as username must be between 8 and 16 characters. And go to HTML mode of your application. Now, add this script with the function validateLength in the body tag. Here, this statement indicates that the validator is valid only when the length of text is greater than or equal to 8. Go to the Custom Validator tag and add the attribute called Client Validation Function, and assign the function name validateLength. Once done, press F5 to run the application and test the answer. Data access controls. In this lesson, we're going to talk about the common control used in database transactions. Data access is the heart of any real-world application, and ASP.NET provides a rich set of controls to perform database transactions efficiently. Now, in this lesson, we're going to talk about the various data access controls, like data grid control, repeater control, and data list control. First off, we'll start with data grid control. The data grid control is a multi-columned, data-bound ASP.NET server control. Using data grid control, we can display records in various formats. We can also perform various actions on the database like edit, update, and delete. Sample code for creating data grid control is as follows. Repeater control. The ASP.NET repeater is a basic container control that allows you to create custom lists from any data available to the page. It's a lightweight control which can be used for simple reporting purpose. Repeater control provides limited level of data editing or selecting capabilities. It has no built-in layout or style, so you must explicitly declare all HTML layout, formatting, and style tags within the control's templates. For customizing the behavior of this control, you have to use the built-in templates. Now, the basic templates used in repeater control are header template, used to create the header rows of the table data being presented by repeater control. Footer template, this is used to create the footer rows of the table data being presented by the repeater control. Item template, used for formatting the items and rows to be displayed. Alternating item template, this is used for alternating items formatting. And separator templates, use this template for elements to render between each row, such as line breaks. Next up, data list control. Data list control is a combination of the data grid and repeater controls. It works like the repeater control, allowing you to create templates so that it can be bound to a data source. It displays rows of data in customized format. The contents of the data list control can be manipulated by using templates. Using data list control, we can edit records like the data grid control. Now then, let's see how to place data access controls in our web form. Open a new web form and go to Toolbox and click Data Grid Control. Drag it and place it on the form. Similarly, place the data list and repeater controls also on the form. Click Data Grid Control and open the Properties window. Using Auto Format property, we can change the style of data grid control. Similarly, we can change the style of data list control by changing its auto format property. Now, as I mentioned earlier, repeater control doesn't have built-in layout or style, but we can render database value to it. Using these data access controls, we can bind and manipulate the data in an efficient manner. Do you know what is meant by data binding? Well, let me tell you. Data binding is the process of creating a link between data source and user interface, known as UI, to display the data. Now, you can get the information about data binding in upcoming lesson. HTML server control. Now, I hope you've got a clear picture about ASP.NET web server controls. In this lesson, we're going to discuss the basic HTML controls. HTML server controls are HTML tags understood by the web server. These HTML controls are included within the system.web.ui.html controls namespace. We can run the HTML control in server-side or client-side. If you use the run@server in your HTML tag, then the control will run at server-side. Basic HTML server controls available in ASP.NET are HTML anchor, which allows you to access the HTML A tag on the server. The A element is used to create a link to another page. You can place an HTML anchor control within the HTML form control. Syntax for creating that HTML anchor control is as such. Here, href attribute is used to link the target URL, and the onServer click is used to execute the function when the link is clicked. Target attribute is used to open a target window. HTML button. This creates a server-side control button that maps to the button HTML element. A syntax for creating the HTML button control is as follows. Next off, we're going to discuss HTML image control. Now, this creates a server-side control that allows you to view an image. In addition, you can set and retrieve the image's source, width, height, border width, alternate text, and alignments by using the src width, height, border, alt, and align properties of this ASP.NET HTML server control. The HTML image control does not require a closing tag. The syntax for creating HTML image control is as such. Next off, we have HTML form control. This creates a server-side control that allows you to place multiple controls within it. Syntax for creating the HTML form is as follows. And we have HTML generic control. The HTML generic control is used to control other HTML elements not specified by a specific HTML server control, like body, div, and span, as well as headers such as H1, H6, and even paragraphs, and the list goes on. Now, if you want to know more about HTML server control, visit the URL mentioned here. In our next lesson, we're going to discuss how to handle the controls during runtime.